Welcome to the Health Angle Podcast with Dr. Mike Headley and Dr. Gordon Femwright, where we'll be exploring different angles of health to achieve the best version of yourself. Now here's your hosts, Dr. Mike and Dr. Gordon.
Welcome everybody. I am Dr. Mike Headley and with me is Dr. Gordon Femwright. Welcome, Dr. Gordy.
Hey, Dr. Mike. Welcome, everybody. And today's subject, really good one, Mike. Can methylene blue boost brain power, energy, and longevity? So we're going to explore this. It's not a supplement. It's officially classified as like a molecule, and it's been getting a lot of attention in the wellness circles, especially as of recent. So it's going to be fun to break this one down.
Dr. Gordy, I heard about methylene blue a few years ago from Dave Asprey on a podcast, and they said all over Instagram and social, they were showing off their blue tongues, some of these influencers. And the company they were talking about, there's a company called Troscriptions, because they're troches. There's little squares that you break off and suck on your tongue, and then it's a industrial dye, so it turns your tongue blue. And I didn't think much about it. I didn't look into it. I go, is this just a fad or what is it? And then time goes by and you start getting reports, and Dr. Mercola, who I've followed for years and years, starts having in his newsletter some pretty substantial amount of information. And so then I just did a deeper dive on it, and then a lot of other influencers, Ben Greenfield Fitness and some of these other pretty big influencers, started using it and saying how important it was for their brain function and mitochondrial health. And we've talked about cellular energy and mitochondrial health. And so that's just how I got introduced to it, and I've taken it and I like it. And what's your experience with it, Gordy?
I was thinking about this because I personally haven't tried it yet. Believe me, it's on the list of things to do. I've heard so many wonderful things about it. And just like you, Mike, I have a bunch of different health resources that I look at as well. And biohacking, alternative health, these providers and alternative practitioners, they talk about this quite extensively. So it is out there, and only as of recent. But I was surprised to learn that this was actually synthesized in 1876. That's a long time ago. And then during the late 1800s, 1891, it was actually used to treat malaria. But let's skip all the old stuff. Just since the 2000s and present, it has really gained a lot of attention, just like you said, for mitochondria health, for brain function and anti-aging, and even cancer research. So it's going to be really fun to dive into this and get to the nitty-gritty of what does it do, how does it affect you. And just to reiterate, if you're going to go on to this methylene blue, there's different sources, pharmaceutical, research grade. I would recommend consulting with your doctor because there is some interaction with meds and drugs. So if you're doing some medication or even over the counter, there can be potential conflicts here, and we would just want to make sure that you're safe using it appropriately. So, Mike, I got 7 points. I'll go through those, but why don't you go ahead and start us out?
The only thing that bothers me about this is you can't find it in nature. And I'm a huge fan of really doing things simple and easy and basic. We just talked about the blue zones here a few episodes ago, and they're so old school and they live a long quality life. I don't even know if they know of methylene blue, and they're living in the blue zones. So I don't know. However, in today's age and all the EMFs and all of the, Wi-Fi and oxidative stress that we talk about, it intrigues me. So the company that I like the most is MB Sure, SURE, MB Sure. It conforms to USP grade, so U.S. pharmaceutical grade. It comes in a powder form, and then you make it into a tincture and liquid, and then you can really precisely dose how many drops you're putting in your water or under your tongue or on your tongue. And then transcriptions, I trust them as well. I've got some samples of that in the past. So those two companies are pharmaceutical grade, and it's really easy to do. And like Dr. Gordy said, talk to your doctor, especially if you're on SSRIs and some other medications. But it's dose dependent, and less is more, just like a lot of things. You don't just need a cup of it every day. You need drops of it, and less is more. So
Hmm.
do your homework on it, and we aren't going to prescribe, say, a male 200 pounds in their 50s needs X amount. So do your homework, but definitely do your research on this because it's kind of fascinating and one of the many things that can optimize our cellular health and our mitochondria.
Yeah, I want to point out that there is like prescription, the pharmaceutical grade. That's the type that you really want to get. And when you get into the research grade, that's when you're dealing with, I know there's some biohackers that will have a supply online to get this, but sometimes the purity is, often is 99%. You want to be as close to 100% if that's possible. In other words, getting all the impurities out of it. And so pharmaceutical grade definitely does that. There's a certain protocol that they go through to make sure they're getting the safest of the safest. Yeah, it's ironic, Mike. My first point that I want to just mention is mitochondria health. It's really boosts the cellular health. And, when you think of diseases in today's world, where does it all start? Right at the cellular level. And we talked about this in other podcasts as well. And if you can get that mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of this cell, and by the way, us human beings, we are nothing more than accumulation of 37 trillion cells. Now, we have a few million to billion that are specialized for the cardiovascular, a few million more to make up the skin cells, et cetera. So we're nothing more than but specialized cluster cells. But disease starts at that cellular level. So how important is having an enhanced mitochondria? And of course, methylene blue has been shown in some research studies to improve the function, help cellular energy more effectively, which improves memory and cognitive performance, which is brain health. Also, there's anti-aging research going on, which everybody wants to look younger. And then the fatigue, as we mature in life, a lot of people, I just don't have the energy I used to. And this has been shown on a cellular level to improve the fatigue factors and give you a little more energy. So that's my number one, Mike. How about you?
I have a really good article that talks about the beneficial effects of methylene blue for slowing skeletal aging and treating brain disorders.
Uh,
You hear a lot about the traumatic brain issues and concussions with sports and that too. So I'm kind of curious if that's going to translate into a lot of athletes using this as well for part of their recovery. Like you said, it promotes mitochondrial health. It enhances our energy production and reduces oxidative stress. So all of the smog and smoke and too much sun exposure and the processed foods and the bad oils that we eat is just oxidizing our cells. And so it treats traumatic brain injury. So I'm really curious how long it's going to take for athletes to really grab onto this and help speed up the concussion and the traumatic brain injuries, and then
mhm.
Alzheimer's as well. So in March of 2024, there was a study, and it just talks about it supporting bone health. And I don't know about you, Dr. Gordy, in your practice, a lot of women talk about osteopenia more than osteoporosis personally, but gosh, there's a lot of people with bone issues and bone loss today and all
Mhm.
the robust food that we have. And calcium is so rich in so many things, and they still have bone health issues, and it just supports bone density. So it just reduces the risk of age-related bone loss. And interesting, it reduces urinary tract infection risk. That's kind of probably a top 20 thing I hear about a lot of people having kidney stones and kidney issues and UTIs. Improves your skin health, manages osteoarthritis. That's really, really
That's
cool.
big.
So just so many really cool side benefits. So what's your second point,
Yeah.
Dr. Gordy?
Well, going right into the cognitive and neuroprotective benefits and methylene blue that can actually go across the blood blood-brain barrier, the BBB. Most drugs cannot. And as a result of that, it makes it just a rare compound that can actually reach to the deep structures of the brain. How cool is that? And it's been shown to enhance memory retention, protect neurons from oxidative stress, and possibly help Alzheimer's and Parkinson's diseases. That's what the research is showing. And also in psychology, to map the brain activity. And some of the older research shows that methylene blue was injected into brains, post-mortem that is, to track the neuron pathways. So that's kind of really an exciting part of this as well. The third thing that I want to point out is antiviral, antimicrobial properties. Methylene blue can kill a wide range of pathogens, and that includes viruses. And during COVID-19, this was actually used in some circles as a treatment protocol because COVID-19 is a virus. And of course, there's bacteria and fungi, and this has also had a positive effect on that with the combination of light therapy. So interesting.
Yeah, I just had someone, I was at an event recently and they were saying, "What do you know about methylene blue?" I said, "Well, I have a blue tongue. I took some today." And they said, "Well, I just heard a podcast, Joe Rogan or somebody." And it's like, "Well, listen to our podcast, the health angle. We aren't quite have as many followers as Joe Rogan, but we're probably second or third." But anyway, he was really excited about the health benefits of using like red lights and other things with methylene blue. And I just got this article. This is an April 2025 article. Methylene blue has been shown to shrink tumors and slow cancer growth by targeting cancer cell metabolism and energy production. I think that's really, really cool. We haven't done a deep dive episode on cancer yet, but I think it's in our future. Proper dosing is important, and the methylene blue uses light activation to destroy cancer cells while leaving healthy cells unharmed, making it more precise treatment options. And that's just exciting. Instead of destroying and ravaging the body, it gets rid of the bad stuff and leaves the good cells behind to help heal and repair. So that was a pretty exciting new
Yeah.
research coming out on cancer.
And it's here, I have a bonus that I was going to present at the end, but methylene blue is a photodynamic active, which means that it lights up under certain wavelengths of light. And it's being used for cancer imaging as well as killing pathogens using the light activated therapy. So you're right. A lot of great things. Here's one: skin health, anti-aging, made mention of this. Topical use. Not internal use, but topical. So if you applied it topically, it's been shown to reduce oxidative stress in skin cells. Again, skin cells, mitochondria, oxidative stress. We want good mitochondria. We want energy. We want to reduce the oxidative stress, keeps you young. The other thing it does is improve hydration and elasticity of skin. And as we mature in life, we lose elasticity and we lose the hydration. And the other thing it does, it just slows down the visible signs of aging skin.
Neat, neat, neat. A couple other benefits. It talks about improving our liver health. Well, that detoxifies so many things. We need a healthy liver. Slows cognitive decline and brain atrophy. Shows promise in treating depression. We've talked about anxiety and depression and how so many natural things can boost that and help that. Reduces inflammation. Aids in estrogen metabolism, supporting hormonal balance. That's another big thing where people's hormones are wrecked because of all the plastics and all the bad oils and just all the chemicals and processed foods and things like that. And so it's just so many positive things, kind of like we were talking a few episodes ago about NAC. We're going, wow, there are just massive reasons to take NAC. Well, I really do some research on methylene blue because that's in the same category, I believe.
Yeah. There's one that I have here. It protects the heart during surgery. It has been used in hospitals during the cardiac surgery to reverse basoplegic syndrome, which is a blood pressure crasher, basically. And then it also protects against organ failure by improving circulation. Another one is a low-cost alternative to blood disorders. Methylene blue is a cheap and an effective treatment for a condition where the blood can't carry oxygen properly. And it works fast, it saves lives, and it's particularly useful in some of these developing countries that have it readily available. So back to you, Mike.
My last thing, it talks about safe dosages range from 5 milligrams to 50 milligrams. I know that's a pretty big range daily, but requires medical supervision. And if you're on medication, potential interactions with SSRIs, and then those that are at risk for kidney issues. And not a huge extensive list of like, oh my gosh, there are so many people that shouldn't take it, or there's a high risk element to it. Just you always got to be conscious when you're taking new things that aren't just found in your backyard, or like mushrooms we talked about, and chaga, and your ingredients in your smoothie. Pretty easy, low side effect type things with your smoothies. But this is a really cool thing, and I think it's just going to get more and more exposure and
Yeah.
more usage, and then just the research will be able to actually do some really hardcore research and have people suffer less with everything from cancer to just everyday wellness things like anti-inflammatory processes, osteoarthritis, and skin health. So it's pretty
Yeah.
cool to find substances like
You
this
know,
that
I'm
are so
not sure when
powerful.
the first time I heard about methylene blue was, Mike. I don't know if it was 4 years ago, 5 years ago. I've heard of it. It's kind of like one of those things that just recently it seems like it's really just really gotten a lot of exposure. But yeah, it's kind of exciting. I got one point, and then I just got a summary, and then I'm done as far as this section. But I just want to reiterate, you talked about cancer research, and I think it's great, and it's shown that it's inhibiting some forms of cancer cell growth, and it also helps target tumor cells when used with light therapy. It's exciting. It supports mitochondrial function and, of course, ATP, which is the energy, the powerhouse of that cell.
There's one last thing that I'll mention, Dr. Gordy, is methylene blue's unique property lies in its ability to accept electrons and transfer them directly to oxygen. So this effectively bypasses parts of the conventional electron transport chain to make it more efficient as an energy producer and to support our mitochondria. This alternative electron shuttle enhances energy production, particularly in situations where normal cellular processes are impaired or ineffective or inefficient. And so it can really just it's kind of like putting some extra nitrogen or extra special gas in an engine, and nitrous gas in an engine to make it really perform better. So
Yeah.
by facilitating more efficient electron transfers and energy production, methylene blue improves various aspects of cellular function and overall health. And so it just makes our cells work optimum. And when our cells work optimum, our overall body and our organs and tissues are going to work at their best
Yeah.
as well.
So, Mike, I know methylene blue is not officially classified as a supplement, but it's sometimes used as one. And I guess that's what we've heard about in our circles, health circles. You've actually used it. I have not. So, you probably used it like a supplement. A lot of times people take supplements and people ask, well, why are you taking vitamin D? Do you feel better? Sometimes when it comes to health, you do it as a preventative to optimize your health potential. And sometimes you don't feel the benefits. So when you took methylene blue, you were taking it basically for an optimizing your health benefit. Did you have any symptoms, and if so, were they mild, or did you try methylene blue? Did you see or feel anything different?
Yeah, I wanted to take it for my mitochondrial health because I've had damaged joints and osteoarthritis and injuries to the past. So I wanted my cells to heal and repair. And I wanted to pair it with my infrared sauna, with has red light, and my PEMF, and just some of the other things that I do to help my body. But then my goal when I get to the office is I want to have the same mental focus because I'm a morning person, and I want the same mental focus as my first person as 8 in the morning as I do at 6 p.m. And I just want to have steady energy, and I want my brain to recall to be really fast, and I want to be really sharp all day. And I know when I'm tired or when my body is not working well because of injuries and accidents and different things, I don't perform at my best. So what I've noticed when I use methylene blue is my memory, recall, and my sharpness is just steady all day. I don't do any caffeine right now. I've been off caffeine for 4 to 6 weeks. I love coffee and I like the effects of caffeine. I mean, I'd probably get a buzz if I had a cup of coffee right now. But I don't feel buzzed and there's never a letdown. It's not like a caffeine stimulus. It's just really steady, sharp mental focus and overall body energy throughout the day. So it's kind of like I'm sipping on coffee all day, but it's not a buzz or a letdown. So I don't know if that makes sense to you or not.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. That was a good analysis of how you took it and what you did it with, the light therapy. That was interesting. Thanks for sharing, Mike.
There's a lot of research out there, so it doesn't take too long to get online and further enhance your research besides just what we talked about. So again, MB Sure is the company I use. It's a wholesale company. You don't need to be any kind of doctor or anything to get that at a wholesale price. It's really pretty reasonable. I mean, if you get one packet of this, I mean, it can be like $10 for a 3 or 4 month supply. So it's not crazy expensive compared to
Yeah.
some other supplements.
And please consult with your doctor, especially if you're taking any type of medication.
Yeah. So as we always end, what's your number one takeaway that you can share with a colleague tomorrow? Can you ask them if they've heard of methylene blue? If so, do they know anyone who's taking it? So what's your number one takeaway that you can share with a colleague at work tomorrow? And then what's your number one action step based on what we talked about? Did we jar something in this episode, or did we jar something when we talked about oxidative stress, or when we talked about inflammation or antioxidants or whatever? So what's your number one action step that you can take today? Because we want you to take action and keep moving the needle, baby steps forward, or sometimes giant leaps forward, but always improving your overall health and well-being and keep the regeneration process going instead of degenerating slowly. And so take some action and start today.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Health Angle podcast. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our podcast. Please like our content and hit that notification bell. We'll have another episode next week, so stay tuned to the Health Angle podcast. And until then, we'll see you next week.
Thank you for joining us on the Health Angle podcast. Please subscribe to our channel and catch us for our next episode.